And I think we found out that it was because a lot of people didn't know what that meant. In one word, what is this asking us to do? Inverse, right? And I think I use that notation enough where we should know that that is the inverse. We just need to find the inverse of this. So we need to switch the x's and the y's. So rather than y equals 4x cubed minus 6, we do x equals 4y cubed minus 6. Sorry. And solve for y. So switch the x's and the y's, solve for y. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides. What comes next, Connor? I'm solving for y. Divide by 4, very good. Now that's not going to divide nicely. And then what comes next? Evan, do you know this one? Cubed root. Or to the 1/3 power, that's the same thing, right? Very good. Cubed root, cubed root. So m inverse of x equals the cubed root of x plus 6 over 4. Now, being a multiple choice, we might look at answers that are in a different form of that, or we happen to hit the nail on the head with the format that they presented it in, and it's option 2. Good? Writing inverses, bound to come up at least once on your Regents. When a student is selected at random from a very large population of high school students, the probability that the student has a smartphone is 0.68. The probability that a student has a tablet is 0.36, and the probability that a student has a smartphone and an electronic tablet is 0.09. Let A be the event that the student has a smartphone, and let B be the event that the student has an electronic tablet. Calculate P, probability of A given B. What comes to mind so that you can start diving into this one? Venn diagram, absolutely. So I'm just going to keep it. We have a smartphone circle and a tablet circle. Smartphone they're calling A, so I'll just do A. And tablet they're calling B. So backing up. The probability that the student has a smartphone is 0.68. I probably won't see 0.68 on my picture, right? Because these two have to add up. So x and y have to add up to 0.68. Probability of owning a tablet is 0.36, so y plus z equals 0.36. And the probability that a student has a smartphone and a tablet is 0.09. What is that? That's the y. So this is a fairly easy one because sometimes they'll give you the or number, which is all three of them add to that, and that's where you have to do a little bit of a system. But on this one, they're just telling you that y essentially is 0.09. So now we can backtrack. If y is 0.09, subtract 0.09 from both sides and we'll get 0.59 in just the smartphone category. And we'll get just a 0.27 in the tablet category to make those add up to 0.36. So now it's the probability of A given B. So here we go. What's my denominator? .36. B. B is my denominator. The B circle, 0.36. What's my numerator? Maggie. 0.09, the both. I will tell you one thing I did see on, was it a quiz last week or something? Pay attention to this. Now, I obviously want you to know where those numbers come from to begin with, but for the numerator, people were putting this number, which of course is wrong no matter what, but it's doubly wrong in a case like this because if you have 0.59 over 0.36, your probability is over 1. That's impossible. Probabilities have to be between 0% and 100%. So sometimes you won't get that double-edged like no, but if you see that your numerator is bigger than your denominator and you're doing a probability question, you're doing it wrong. So maybe you don't know the exact way to do it, but at least try something different, because that's not ever going to be the case. Nathan? Sure. Yep, you're right. And if you see that, that's great, but I'm going to keep it the same. You're correct. He's saying if it's A given B, you know it's the probability of both out of B. So he's saying you could just grab the numbers, which is correct. But at any rate, this is 25%. 3. Okay? Number 23 is a straightforward solving question. So, like I just said on that system in 3 variables, if it's a straightforward solving question, you can just guess and check. I'm going to review this, and I want you to do it as well, obviously, just to practice the skill, because this could very easily be an open response. They could very easily put this with other variables, so you had to do it in terms of things. But we need to know how to solve rational equations. What do I have to do here? Common denominator all the way across. So we already have an x plus 3, we already have an x plus 3. This one's technically over 1, so it needs an x plus 3. So that fraction gets an x plus 3 over x plus 3. Then we can drop, 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 and just solve the question that's remaining from the top. So x times x plus 3 is x squared plus 3x. We have minus of 15 equals 5x. It's a quadratic, subtract your 5x over, and solve from here. If you factor this, you get x minus 5, x plus 3. So x either equals 5 or x equals negative 3. And one of those is a restricted value. Based on what's in our denominator, the restricted value is an x of negative 3. So the fact that we got this means it's extraneous. You'd plug it back in, you'd get an undefined. So the only answer is 5. So that would be option 2. One quick thing to review on this one as well. What if one of my denominators was 3 minus x and the other one was x minus 3? What could you do? Do you give this one an x minus 3 and give this one a 3 minus x? You could. It's not the most efficient. What can you do to a number to just change the order of a subtraction binomial? Right. If you multiply by negative 1 on the top and the bottom, that will just flip that to x minus 3. And that has come up. Also, if you have a subtraction sign in between, make sure that, let's pretend this was 10. Once you drop your denominators, make sure you do, that's a negative 10 now, make sure your negative gets distributed if it is a binomial. Minus 5x minus 7. Those are some of the more common careless mistakes that I see, little algebraic things. Okay? All right, 24 is just going through a list of steps and solving a radical equation and deciding where she went wrong. So take a minute to look at this and then we'll vote. It's not going to hurt you, it just gives you less. The average, so if you okay, on the count of 3, hold up what your choice is. 1, 2, 3. Good, it's 3. Nice job, the majority of you. She squared both sides. The radical's already by itself, so she squared both sides. She squared this wrong. You have to do x plus 1 times x plus 1. So that should have been x squared plus 2x plus 1 once you FOILed. Then it was a quadratic, got it equal to 0, factored, so on and so forth. And neither of the answers worked, so she put no solution, which is correct based on what she did. So that was number 3.